Princess Cruises has announced some important policy changes. What are they and how do I feel about them? Let's chat about it. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a travel agent that specializes in Princess Cruises, and today we're going to talk about some deposit and final payment changes that Princess has announced. I've held off on talking about this because a lot of it was rumors and I couldn't find confirmation from an official Princess source. And now I can talk about it because in the travel agent newsletter from yesterday, they have talked about it. They are going to be doing a whole webinar for travel agents coming up here soon. But in the meantime, we have some details. Today, I'm going to share with you what the policy changes are, why I think Princess is doing them, how I feel about them as a cruiser, but then also how I feel about them as a travel agent. So let's chat. So the main major change to policy is deposits. Until this point, Princess had a really good deposit that was refundable. And you could pay for a non-refundable deposit and save a tiny bit of money, or if you booked a guaranteed stateroom, those were always non-refundable. But now Princess has changed it that the default is a non-refundable deposit, and you actually have to pay extra to get a refundable deposit. I think the main reason Princess is no longer offering refundable deposits as the default is just because so many people canceling their cruises at final payment. So currently, if you had anything booked before, I think it was the 15th of October was the policy change, you didn't have to worry about making any more payments other than your deposit until your final payment date. What often was happening is people waiting until that final payment, deciding they didn't want to go, they would then cancel their booking, and then Princess needs to fill those rooms, especially on ships like the Sun Princess and the Star Princess, the new Princess ships. Those sailings can sell out. And so having people book all those and then come final payment, which is 90 days before the sailing, suddenly having a whole ship full of people canceling probably was doing hard business to Princess, because then they would have to try to fill those rooms and potentially take a loss for that money, not being able to fill them in time. The other major policy change has to do with final payments. So right now, your final payment is due 90 days before your cruise, regardless of the length of your cruise. Now, as of October 15th, I believe is still the date. If you booked after October 15th, so any future cruise bookings that are happening now, you have 90 days before your cruise to pay your final payment. If your cruise is 13 days or less, anything over 14 days and more, it's 120 days before your cruise. So again, I feel like Princess is doing this to prevent cancellations. And then if cancellations are happening, they're able to actually fill those rooms instead of just having them be empty staterooms on a ship that's sailing that they could have potentially filled if they were able to know sooner. Especially on those longer sailings, they're probably a bit harder to book or to fill up. So it gives Princess a little bit extra time to be able to fill up those rooms. Now, here's my opinion as a cruiser. As a cruiser, not as a travel agent. I'll give that opinion in a second. But for me, I don't like these changes. I just don't. We like to book cruises, but we are also part of those people that are canceling cruises. We don't tend to cancel them very often. I think we've only canceled one cruise actually. No, 2 cruises. We don't cancel cruises often. And so we just aren't canceling and rebooking and doing all that kind of stuff. But it is the repricing that I don't like, because we have had in the past where there's been third guest sales free pricing change, and because I sail with my brother and my daughter, we'll cancel our booking and rebook so that way we can get a huge savings. So it's kind of not great for us to be able to reprice. And so that's kind of one thing that we don't like. The other thing we don't like is just the fact that it doesn't give us the flexibility to cancel if we need to. Right now, we currently have 5 weeks booked for next year, and we're considering canceling 2 of those weeks because there are things going on in our lives right now that are financially impacting us. I am currently not working in my day job. So we are considering canceling 2 out of those 5 weeks. The following year, we currently have 4 weeks booked on Discovery Princess, and we are considering potentially canceling 2 of those, potentially canceling all 4, potentially swapping out to do a Canada New England cruise. We haven't quite decided yet, but we like to lock in those prices when they first come out, because already we booked the 2027 Alaska while we were on the Sun Princess the day they came out, and already the prices are gone up. So for us, we'd like to book as soon as possible. And by having it this way, it kind of deters us from booking unless we know 100% that that's the cruise we want to take. With future cruise deposits, which is what we always do when we're on a ship, we always make sure we put down a future cruise deposit because there's so many benefits, including onboard credit for your next cruise and stuff like that. My understanding from what Princess has said is that your future cruise deposit, if you do not book with your future cruise deposit, that will be refundable. But once you make that booking with it, it will be based off of what kind of booking did you do. For example, did you book a rate that was non-refundable or did you book a rate that was refundable? I still think the future cruise deposit is definitely the way to go because it's only $100 in your currency, whatever you booked your current cruise on. So even if you're booking a non-refundable deposit, like when you book your actual room that you're booking, you're only losing out $100, whereas most cruises you're looking at $250 per person. So it's still better, in my opinion, to do the future cruise deposit because there's a lower risk involved, but it still kind of sucks that like not having those refundable deposits if you change your mind. If you're finding this video helpful, be sure to subscribe for more Princess Cruises tips, tricks, and advice. In terms of final payment, I also don't like this just because we tend to book 14-day plus cruises. So now for us, like I kind of know when our final payments are always due. And now with this change, it's like, wait, was this a 7-day cruise that we booked? Was this a 14-day cruise? Because like, for instance, next year or 2026, we have one 7-day cruise, but we also have 2 14-day cruises. So like just trying to keep track of those final payment dates is a little bit trickier. And I don't really like having to do it sooner, and also because of cancellation, because once you make that final payment, your cancellation fees start to apply. So it gives us less chances to make decisions to be able to be like, can we actually make this cruise work or not? For our current bookings, it won't matter at all. But if we do decide to book the Canada New England cruise, because it's after that final payment change and the deposit change, those will be in effect. I will say I kind of don't like how Princess did this because I felt like they didn't give enough notice so that people could potentially book cruises before these changes happened. Maybe that's how they wanted it. And also the lack of information to travel agents. Like I've seen so many rumors, but I was like, I cannot do a video about it because I don't believe in putting out content that I cannot confirm without like making big disclaimers of being like, I don't know if this is true. I figured it was true based off of how many people were talking about it, but I just didn't feel comfortable on being like, hey, this is what might be happening. Now, here is my professional opinion as a travel agent. The refundable versus non-refundable deposits, I kind of like that change. And that is because a lot of clients, when they are going to cancel, they cancel at final payment. It's like, hey, your final payment's due in a month or 2 months. And they're like, actually, I've changed my mind. And so for me as a travel agent, we put in a lot of work to make these bookings. And this is very personal to my business, but I don't charge fees currently. I know a lot of travel agents that do, but my business models is I'm currently not charging fees, but then I also don't do my ship guides, my port guides, my big itinerary, the bulk of my work until after final payment, because I don't believe that anyone in any career should not get paid for the work that they're putting in. So if I am not charging a fee, if you cancel your cruise before final payment, I get nothing. So now with a refundable deposit or non-refundable deposit, it might cut down on cancellations. So the work that I'm doing to create the booking, to create proposals, to cancel a booking, travel agents are still not going to get anything, which I kind of wish Princess would be like, hey, sure, we'll do the cancellation with the non-refundable deposit, but the refund will include a little portion of commission for the travel agent who is putting in the work to make the booking, cancel the booking, service the booking before cancellation. But that's a business thing that on my end. But yeah, so like for me, I'm hoping that it potentially might cut down on people canceling, which means I am more comfortable with doing a lot of that front end work before final payment, because it's like, yeah, sure, I'm not going to get paid for it if they do cancel it, but I feel like it cuts down a lot on people canceling just because they can. I feel a little less happy as a travel agent for the final payment thing, just because as a travel agent, I'm already trying to keep track of final payments for multiple cruise lines. Just trying to keep track of the whole, like, when is it going to be due based off of what, and not so much for like my client side of things, but for my own personal trying to remember things, and for like my Facebook group and stuff like that, I like to post reminders and whatnot. So I got to update all that information, but it's not going to affect me too much just because I use a really great system with my clients that gives a great itinerary, and all my booking stuff goes through that. And Princess tells me what the final payment date's going to be, and I input it in the system, and then I'm good to go because my reminders will get sent out and whatnot based off of the dates that I put in. So it's not going to affect me too much as a travel agent on that side. It's just more trying to be like, oh yeah, you are like, hey, FYI, you are booking a 14-day cruise or a 21-day cruise. Your final payment is going to be due 120 days in advance, not 90 days. So what do you think about these policy changes? I've seen kind of mixed, with some people love them, some people not so much. Some think it's a great move for Princess to protect their business. Let me know in the comments below, and then go check out this video right here because YouTube thinks it's really helpful for you. So the train.